We are back. It has been a minute too, but I'm back, and back with a what is it? What's that? What's the word I'm looking for? It's a caveat. Back with a caveat. Caveat is today's is the subject of today's video. So we're gonna do another tasting session, and I'm gonna review a tobacco which, from what it says on the tin, has 3 ingredients. And I meant to look up whether or not this is still readily available or not, and I forgot. So I'm not sure if this is available or not. And so yeah, if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. Maybe it's still around. Um, anyway, the 3 ingredients are red Virginia. Let me make sure. Red Virginias, white and dark burleys. I'm counting that as one ingredient, even though they're technically separate. And then joined by Green River Black Cavendish. Oh, sorry, there is four. There's latakia in it. So 2 out of the 4 ingredients I generally shy away from, which is burley and Cavendish. Just not a huge fan. Cavendish, I don't really feel like I'm just doesn't really add a lot to me for most blends, and burley I've never really been much of a big burley guy. There's been blends that I enjoyed that had burley, but generally, this is an old tin from 2008. It's one that I had just kind of found in a stash of tobaccos I had that I'd kind of forgotten about. So I popped it open, and I'm glad that I didn't buy more of it. So it's not a bad tobacco, but it's not really for me. And it is Low Country Carolina Christmas. And like I said, this is now, how old is that? 16 years old? Not quite really, 15 years old, because it's November of 2008. Um, so like 15 years old when I opened it. I think I opened it like around Christmas or right after Christmas. And it's taken me this long to get through it because I just haven't really enjoyed it very much. I think for me, this is gonna be a real surprise. I think for me, I would probably enjoy it more if it was Virginia, Latakia, and a little bit of Kentucky, or a little bit of Perique, or just Virginia Latakia. Um, I'm just not a huge fan of that burly note, that like sort of that people call it nutty. To me, it comes off more as like a bitter, like more of a bitter, acrid flavor than like a pleasant nutty note. Um, I will say it's not terrible. I do like the Virginias. The Virginias are really nice. um, they're like a really nice, like sweet, bready, just very slightly grassy Virginia. Um, I really like the Latakia content. It says just a pinch. There's not very much in there, so it's probably only a couple percent of Latakia. But it's noticeable enough for me. I do enjoy it. It's just like it's that that bitterness from the what I'm assuming is the burleys or maybe the Cavendish. I feel like Cavendish doesn't really add a lot to most blends, and um, it just sort of seems like a bland to me, like more like a bland sort of steamy. Um, it's not really even a note. It's just sort of like a bland, steamy texture. I guess I just am not a real big fan. Um, I will say it's interesting though. For the guy that likes burleys and is interested in latakias or interested in a Virginia burley latakia or something like that, I think this is a good blend. It's approachable. That's what I will say. It's like pretty approachable. It's not something, if you're like smoked a lot of burleys and and maybe you haven't tried a lot of latakia blends, this would be a good one to kind of try just to kind of get an idea for what that's going to give. Um, I would say the burley, to me, maybe because I'm looking for it more, uh, it feels like it's the most prominent thing, though. But I feel like I can trick my brain into looking for Virginia and Latakia and getting more of that than the burley. But it's more of like a head game to me. I feel like so. And smoking in the little Sean Ream, little straight apple. Yeah, it's approachable and it's pleasant. Generally it's good. It's just not really for me. But I think it's well put together. I think it's a well blended um, blend. I think it's a well put together tobacco. I think it's got good ingredients. The cut's pretty decent. It's kind of like that chunky flake that Cornell and Deal produced blends like to be when they're flakes. Um, but yeah, other than that, haven't really been on obviously YouTube very much. I haven't posted anything anyway, and I haven't really even been watching any YouTube videos for the most part, like pipe stuff or anything like that. I just you've been working a lot, wife, kids, um, family. Got family stuff going on, illnesses and things like that. As what that's what happens when people get older. Um, I mean, not just when people get older, but when people start getting in the 80s and 90s and things like that, there's gonna be some. I mean, you're bound to have some medical issues and some things to contend with. So having a little bit of that go on, but it's part of life. It's part of life. The only thing that you are guaranteed when you are born is that you will die. That's the only guarantee. Some people like to say that and taxes, but I feel like I've heard stories of people getting out of taxes too. So no one gets out of death though. Other than that, coming up to lake season, so the wife and I and the kid will be spending some time out on the boat, on the lakes, doing some fishing, doing some tubing. Just like generally, it's funny. We end up just sort of turning it into a picnic. We go out and we cruise around a little bit, find a nice little cove, and then we just kind of pull in and hang out in a little cove, eat some lunch, swim around a little bit, and just sort of chill. But last summer we did that quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun. We had a really nice time doing that, so I'm looking forward to that again. We're thinking about maybe going out this weekend, so we'll see what the weather does. It's early May. It's like what's today, May 2nd, I think. So where we're at here in California, the temperatures are getting in like the 70s and stuff like that. So it's getting that where you're starting to be like, oh, we should go to the lake. The problem is the lakes, a lot of them are probably still going to be in like the probably mid 60s, maybe low 70s. If they were in low, something like that, they're getting to the point where they're going to get warm enough to do some swimming and stuff like that. And that's what my daughter really likes to do. She gets real upset when we go out to the lake and we don't swim. So, kids are, they'll get in the water if it's 40 degrees. I haven't really bought anything recently. At least I haven't really bought any pipes or tobacco recently. I usually like to show that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, I haven't really bought anything recently. I try to do a few, 3, 4, 5 orders of tobacco a year. Sometimes they're bigger orders, 10, 20 tins. Sometimes they're the smaller orders, the 12 or the 3 or 4. Actually, I take that back. I did order something recently, but it was like 2 tins. It wasn't really, so I didn't think making a video was, I didn't really think it was necessary. And now I can't even remember what it was. I think I ordered I think I got it like 2, 3 weeks ago, and I can't remember what it was. It was something like Heinrich's or Rainer or something like that. I can't remember. But if it's a decent size order, I'd show it. If it was 6, 8 tins or more, I'd show that, or obviously a new pipe. Everyone likes to see a new pipe, right? But that's kind of how I feel like a lot of my purchasing kind of goes in waves. It's like I've been, buy a lot of pipes and tobacco and stuff like that, and then I kind of like level off and go back down. And as that's going back down, then here comes bourbon, buying more bourbon, and then that goes down, and it's like buying more of this. It's like this sort of weird revolving door of things that I feel like I need to have. But it's been good. It's been good bourbon purchasing recently, though. I don't know if anyone that watches these videos is interested in bourbon, but just in case they are, I'll tell you about a couple things I bought. So recently, recently I picked up a Weller 107. I have a couple bottles of that. I had 3 bottles and then I gave one away. So, so I got 2 left. I had one open. I had one closed. I gave that away, and then like a week later, I found another one for retail and bought that. Most of the stuff I buy is at retail prices. I just try to make relationships with people and try to figure things out and trade or whatever. But one thing I bought a couple months ago, which I was I'd never really seen this stuff around. It's this Peerless Double Oaked. I'd never really seen any Peerless around where I'm at, so that was kind of a surprise. So I bought that. Bought a E.H. Taylor small batch recently. I bought a E.H. Taylor barrel proof recently. It's the batch 10 of the barrel proof. And that was marked up a little bit, but it was still under 200 bucks, so I felt pretty decent about that. I've been seeing those for like 400 or 500, which is, to me, is just insane. So, but yeah, I bought the barrel proof. The most recent bottle I bought was the Elijah Craig barrel proof, the C batch from last year, the 923. Heard a lot of things about that. Know a lot of people that have really recommended that, so I found one and bought one of those. I think about a month or two ago, I bought a Jack Daniel's 10 year and I bought a Jack Daniel's 12 year. and then a Blanton's, about a Blanton's. This is over the like last 3 or 4 months, I'd say. And then a Michter's barrel strength rye. Those are just the ones I remember. I don't know what else. I don't remember what else I bought. So, like I said, as the bourbon budget and spending goes up, the tobacco and everything else budget kind of goes down, and then it'll taper off and just sort of do those stuff. But anyone that's not into bourbon, or I'm not into wines or anything like that. I buy bourbons, but anyone that's not into bourbons or whiskeys or scotches or wines or anything like that, don't get into it. I mean, it's like a lot of times it feels like it takes your money faster than pipes and tobacco does, and it's almost like it's faster than guns do. But whatever, you only live once. You can't take it. Can't take your money with you, I guess. But you can't take your bourbon or your pipes or your tobacco either. So I don't know. Whatever. I guess since you can't take any of it with you, if you can use your money, your extra money, not the money that you need to live on and pay for your house and pay for your family and all that stuff, but if you can use a small portion of your extra money to purchase things that give you happiness and pleasure while you're still alive, I guess that's okay. But I think that's all I got. I don't want to make it a 20-minute video. I think we're already over 15. Low Country Carolina Christmas. It's well put together. It's a well-made blend. It's obviously a decent quality. It's just not for me. But if some of the things that I have told you seem to appeal to you, then give it a shot. Like I said, the Virginias are, slightly sweet, more bready, kind of a little bit savory. The latakia adds to that sort of smoky, savory note. And then to me, the burley, if I'm lucky, has a slightly nutty flavor. If I'm unlucky, it's, to me, a little bitter and acrid. But I'm not like a big, like almonds, walnuts, things like that. Those things taste sort of bitter and acrid to me, and not in a pleasant way. So maybe it's just sort of that nutty note that I'm not as into. But other than that, hopefully hopefully I won't wait as long to throw up another video. But you never know. I just sort of make them when I have a reason to make them. And usually the reason to make them is if I've got something I want to talk about. Some tobacco or pipe or something like that. So, and if you like me talking about bourbon stuff, I can add it into the videos. Just let me know in the comments down below, and we'll talk about bourbon stuff. I don't know if this probably won't ever turn to a bourbon channel. At least that's not the plan. I think there's enough of those types of channels out there. But if you're interested in it, leave a comment and we'll talk about it that way. So, other than that, I hope everyone has a safe weekend. Get out there, enjoy good weather if you have good weather, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, adios.